What is good, kick and bass gang? It's your boy Morgan from FOMO, and today we're making a little Skrillex inspired bass ting that goes a little something like this. Alright, let's check this big boy out from the top. Surprise, it rips. All right, let's check it out, baby. All right, so we'll start with the kick drum here because it's kind of cool how I made this one from scratch. So if you guys don't have or haven't heard of kick 2, it's pretty useful for at least getting the low end of your kick in the key of the song. So as you can see here, it has all the different pitch controls and you could add and subtract them. And the reason why I made this kick from scratch is because when you're making like more bassy type of music, it just gives you so much more control over how the low end is hitting, because you could just make sure that the kick ends up in the final root note of your song or close to it. And then you just can control the entire thing. So essentially we're just making like a punchy hip hop style kick here, and then we're driving the shit out of it just to give it some clip action. And then after that, we just have EQ8 kind of just messing around and getting it to fit in the mix properly. All right, let's get a listen to just the kick and the basses. That one's huge. All right, so for the kick pattern, it starts out like a typical like UKG breakbeat style at the start, and then we have just a typical house rhythm on the second part of the drop. And then for the basses here, we got quite a lot going on. So if you guys saw the most recent social post I made, I've been working on this bass generator. So I'll eventually do a video of this entire thing, but basically what's going on here is I mapped, let's check it out here. So we have an operator, which is an FM synth. And then we have oscillator A is just full blast sine wave. And then we have C and B going into A. But the key thing here is we mapped the coarse pitch and the levels to their own macro over here. And then I set the ranges in here that were in like some sort of acceptable range. I think it's like 0 to 16 is what I found was the best. And then from there, I also mapped out a couple more useful controls. So if we just check it out. So it's absolutely insane. It's going to be coming out soon, but I'm just trying to make it as lit as possible. So we have the ADSR. Let's get this off. So we can make it like plucky or wubby. And we have Then we have this cool time scale, which is part of operator. And this is over here. It just maps every single envelope to one thing, which is super useful for just like quick modulation. And then we have the tone, which is another cool thing. So this controls all of the FM amounts all at once. So again, like I wish Serum had more shit like this or just easy controls, but yeah, I'm just realizing how sick operator is. And then we have the filter envelope. Some simple controls in here. And then once you press random over here, you could just get a sound that you like. And then you just hit new over here on the capture window. And then you could save a bunch of presets. So this is fucking super useful. I think all sound design is probably going to go this direction in the future. So definitely worth doing the deep dive if you have the time. Absolutely insane. And then after that, we just have chorus, cutting out the low width with a bunch of space. Then OTT gain comped 100% just to give it some girth. It's giving it a pop too, so I'd have to like resample this in the end, but it's all good for now. Then a standard multiband comp, 52% just to tame it. And then a hard curve just to blast it. So whenever you have like a low sub on any sort of patch and use saturation, it's just going to give it some nice girth. Because get a girth counter, dude, because it just blows up that fundamental. All right, so for the pattern itself, we just got root note right here, sort of an offbeat pattern going with the kick, and then it just goes up one semitone over here. And then we got some cool shit going on in here. So if you see, I mapped the tone right here just to go up to give it some variation. So as you can hear, like it gets more FM over here. Yeah, so that's sick. And then all you really have to do after you get a pattern is for the second one, all I did was just randomize the patch. And then this one is just way less attack, so it's more plucky. And what I did is I just swung the notes pretty heavily just to give it a lot of swing. Yeah, still need to dial it in, but as you can see, it's just super easy to get ideas like this. And then let's check out what we have over here for the intro. So we got this big chungus on the downbeat. So what we have here is I was just trying to mess around with the Red Lips sound design. And what I did was I just resampled like 3 minutes worth of messing with a preset. And then what you could do is just drag this around. Yeah, so this is a super cool way to just get like easy results from sound designing and not having to like go into Serum a bunch of times. This makes the workload a lot less stressful. And then I just did what felt right in terms of the note for this one. Then we just have it ducking away out of the kick. And then we just have the low bass underneath that for the intro. And then lastly for the turnaround, I just have another one that I just duplicated and randomized. So we're streamlining that workflow, baby. All right, next up, we're just gonna tackle the rest of the synths because there's only a couple more in the breakdown, but they're super cheeky with it. So we have this flute, which I'm absolutely stoked on. So it's just a simple couple notes here with like a grace note playing off the minor steps here, just because we have the bass doing the minor step as well. And another cool thing that I always forget about is if you go in controls in the sampler, you could do random pan, and I set it to 100, so every note will just bounce anywhere in the stereo range, which is pretty sick. And then for the sound itself, it's just a one shot of a flute with some EQ and then delay just on the last two notes over here. And under that, we just have a brass sample that's doing the same pattern but simplified of the bass. See, once you get your themes down, you could just think about it subtractively and just use different sounds and do it in a simpler way in the breakdown. And it takes some of the heavy lifting out of the songwriting process. All right, let's check out the rest of the drop elements. All right, we got a little flam snare here, which I thought was pretty sick as well. So we got just a super tonal, like rim shot snare. And what I did is I just boosted the shit out of the EQ on the root note of the track, so it's in D. And it just gives it that super clean tone. And I did it again, and then we did a bit warmer at the end just to saturate the whole thing. And then after that, I duplicated it an octave lower and did another grace note so it like knocks kind of like a Jack U snare. Super sick, dude. Below that, the cymbals are pretty simple. On the group, we have overdrive just to give everything some common color. Just kind of have to fuck around for what sounds good. Standard multiband comp just to give it some compression when there's layers. And then a clip just to make sure they're not coming out too hot. And a sidechain from the kick. And for the cymbals, it's kind of all just like messing around with the pitch of the samples and seeing what different stuff fits. I always like to try a bunch of options for this. So we got the shaker, pan to the right. Then we have a closed hat with some groove on it, just doing like a 16th note pattern all together. Yeah, for drums, it's all about just proper sound selection. So we have a couple different like fill layers with nothing on them. This is just my channel strip. Then we just have another top shaker over here. And then it just repeats over the drop. Next up, we got this vocal pad. So this is just a loop from the kick and bass pack. If you guys want to cop that, links in the description. And then I just put it in a sampler, made sure it was in the root note, and then just drag around the head until I got the part that I liked from it. And then we just have chorus ensemble 50% just to put it in the back of the mix, and a little bit of delay just to give it some rhythm. Reverb to throw it back even further. OTT just to bring all the space up. Then some sidechain with LFO tool. Below that, we have the main vocal. And this is a splice vocal, but kind of the way I've been approaching splice vocals lately is I just look for something that's in the vibe that I'm going for, even if it's complete dog shit, because then I could just not worry about the vocal, just like pretend it's good, and then just finish it all up from there and get somebody else to redo a line for me. On the vocal itself, we just have a reverb throw at the end. Just to add some variation. And then I have ozone stabilizer just to get rid of some of the resonance. This thing is huge. I highly recommend the new ozone stuff because it just saves a lot of time. Below that, we got the arpeggiated build vocal. So I just grabbed the last word of the vocal. Yeah, for the free rate stuff, you just really just got to listen for what's sounding good. And then I have a delay feedback and wet getting more drastic over the build, just to add some tension. And then we also have an endless smile that goes all the way up over here. And then I kind of just aired it out and put this reverse spin sample that I thought fit pretty well. Just so like the crowd wouldn't know what the fuck was going on and then it just hit you out of nowhere. And then below that, we just got some typical effects. So just a sub drop from Cashmere. And then we have a riser from the kick and bass pack. This is just one of those tonal risers. So it's all controlled by the one knob right here. And then you just put it in the root. Easy money. All right, lastly, we got the master, and this one is just pretty quick and easy just because I just want it sounding like decent enough while I'm working on it. So I have Ozone 11, and what you can do with this is you could have it just listen to the loudest part of your track, and it'll just analyze it for you and give you just a rough master based off whatever AI engine is in here. So that's pretty helpful. I'm not going to go too much into that. I'll do that, save that for another video. Then we have a standard multiband comp just to get rid of some harshness. And then another limiter just to clip it off. Let's go. And then a little bit of gain reduction before the drop here. One more time from the top. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the Skrillex inspired meat missile. As always, if you need the sample pack sauce, head over to the Kick and Bass store, links in the description, and make sure to drop a comment, drop a like, drop 2 likes. We're pumping up the numbers, baby. See you guys in the next one. Peace.